ShopDog says, welcome to a Saturday Pontiac video. I've been putzing little things here and there for the last couple days, and in a minute I'm going to kind of get set up and show you the concept of how this works and what we're doing. I got to figure out how I want to film this. I wish I could show you everything, but shipping is what it is. So the tomahawks won't be here till Monday, and the pots that go here were supposed to be here yesterday, and of course they shipped USPS and it just says in transit, so who knows. You know, post office is not the most reliable thing in the world. In fact, it's just getting worse. Not sure why we use it. So ShopDog says, well, let's get set up. Okay, for starters, let's go over how the power in this system works. Remember, we have this wire harness that we've discussed, you know, that came with the Auto Classic Air stuff. So we went through and drew up a quick diagram. So here is the blower motor switch. So I've got 12 volts coming in. Then I've got it going to a relay right here that is being controlled by this micro switch. So it looks like this, except it works the opposite. When the off position, which isn't installed right now, is pushed, it will push on this right here. Hopefully you guys can see that. It will push on that, which will de-energize the relay by not providing its ground. Now, I probably could have run it through the switch, but let's not run a lot of current through, you know, a 50-year-old contact. Wasn't sure just how much these were rated for. Figured I know it'll run 150 mils to flip a relay, so we're doing that. And then that becomes the main power line coming in to the well, from, you know, through the switch. I did this out of order, but you can see what's happening. So that's coming in. Here's the power. And then when you select on here, this provides power over to the AC unit, or in fact right here you can see the back of the switch. This wire goes in this cavity, and then in every position except off, this is connected to this, and then this goes over to the AC relay, which is underneath you guys right now, but anyway, it's right here. You know, here's the actual relay, but it goes over to control that or provide power to that, and then that is what's going to feed the AC clutch, and then it also sends power over to this little module, so right here. So both of those things are being fed through this, and then these three positions are low, medium, and high, or the exact opposite of that, it's irrelevant, which then don't go here, they go straight to the fan, which is this connector. So, and that's that spall fan that's mounted on the unit. Of course, got to provide its ground. So the way this works then is it pulls a little string off of here, pulls a little thing that's sprung against that. I'll pull this apart in a little bit and we'll go over it. But right now in off, this connection is not made to anywhere. As soon as I turn it, that is now connected to provide power to the unit, and also, in this case, to the low pin, or the medium pin, or the high pin. And you see, that used to say low, 2, 3, high, if I remember right. But we made a sticker and put on there, and honestly, it looks pretty good, because we wanted to replicate the way this works. Now, I don't actually have that pinned in yet, because it goes into this little slot, but it's all going to come apart again in this little thing. It's really not the best. You don't get to take it apart too many times, so I don't want to do it any more than I have to. But you can see how that works, and what that's doing is also running a linear pot right here, which used to run a cable. Now it runs this linear pot, and that information goes back here to tell the controller, hey, I want it warmer, or hey, I want it colder. Then the other linear pot on here is supposed to tell you, in fact, they call it mode control. Hey, I want it on the face. Hey, I want it on my feet. In the middle, hey, I want it on defrost. So you get a lot of control between those. Well, because this works with those push buttons, in fact, let me go get it. So see, these push buttons are normally right under here, and whichever one you pick is in, you know. So by picking floor, blend, de-ice, blend, and dash, which is what we decided to name everything instead of the original, which was definitely not that. See, here's the original lens. Let's try to give you something to read against. So I kept the blower and temperature because that made sense, but it used to be a very different setup. And the way it worked is it has these, I call them tomahawks, but you know, they're just some kind of cam key that goes in. There's a little flappy door. When we get the new ones and put it all together, I'll show you exactly how that works, but it's pretty ingenious. And what it's doing, because of the shape of this angle on the profile, see, this locks down, that's the one we selected. As soon as you push one, this little ramp opens the little flap, everybody slides forward. So if anybody was engaged, when you go to push another one, it slides forward. Once it does that, this pushes, get that, on this plate. So you can see this plate that can move. So as a tomahawk comes forward, you know, this one would push and then it would change the angle to that. By changing this angle, this arm used to change a vacuum modulator. It's in here. So this would have been mounted in this location right here, like this. So it was mounted like that, and this arm drove this to change which vacuum ports were connected to where. We're not using that. So how do we decide to translate that into a resistance value? Well, you saw last time we tried to do it with a linear pot. The problem always came down to the full angle of rotation here couldn't support it. So as this is rotating, let me get real close here, it really wants this to work on this plane. Whereas the linear, I wanted it to work more on that plane. And unfortunately, you know, just the mechanical design wouldn't allow that. So instead of using this linear 10K pot, which is really nice, I mean, there's no reason not to, except it doesn't go the direction we want, I ordered and should have already had some 10K single turn, you know, 300 degree turn linear taper 10K pots. So by mounting that pot to a little adapter plate, so this little adapter plate will go, and I haven't decided until we have the pot on hand whether it goes to the outside or to the inside, but either which way, that's going to allow us to mount our pot. And then I printed a couple different arms, but I think this is probably the style we're going to wind up using with the built-in pin. So then that will mount to the pot, and based on where this moves, it will turn the pot. So we're waiting on all of that to put that together. Once we have that all worked out, and you know, this can, now we're not going to get 0 to 10K, but there's a calibration in this module that you do that tells it the end points, and then it can extrapolate all the other points. We're only going to actually be using 5 of those points. We're going to trick this. It's going to think it's linear, but it won't be. So once I know exactly what the end points are with the new keys, we will mark that on the pot, and then when we do the calibration, we'll disconnect the arm. We'll start at the whatever side it said to start with, move it to the other side. It will see the 2 end points, which is going to be the floor and the face is what they call it, but I call it dash. And then it's going to extrapolate that whatever voltage value is between those two is defrost, and then anything between them is blend. So that should give us a pretty linear blend between, we're going to start, in fact, you know, if we push this one, it will be what they call face, what we call dash. If we hit blend, it should be exactly halfway between these two. So it'll be up on the dash and, you know, up on the de-ice and on the dash. If we hit de-ice, that's the froster. If we hit blend, you know, that's the froster and floor, which is a very common position for General Motors vehicles. And then floor, just, you know, generally for heat. You don't tend to do AC to the floor. So we will see how that goes. I think that's going to work slick. And by having this off position, we were able to save this last stop. I could have made it, made 6 of those, but then no matter how we did it, it always came out a little fudgy around that. So we decided that was going to be more than enough, especially since 90% of the time the car will either be on dash or floor. Those would be where you would expect it to be. This is coming out pretty slick. Sorry for the interruption. I didn't realize that I lost a recording. It happens. Just watching Derek or listening to him, kind of going through things. In the last hour and a half, I've been working with the actual harness and how we're doing it. One of the things that has changed just since the camera was last recording is we're actually going to just move the AC relay also to the back here. So I'm working that out. This was our power breakaway, which it's laying over there. It'll get loomed into that. This is our AC clutch right here, which is, of course, this white line. I think I will just terminate that right into here. So the way this is going to be disconnectable, I think, you know, if you had to service that, you'd pop this guy off. I'm probably going to change the way I've got the ground. And then all the harness, you know, you'd pull the 2 screws. All of that would stay. I'll leave enough service loops so that you can pull it down, have it down here, unhook everything, go service your unit. Obviously, you'd be able to unplug this end of the harness. This side, so here's the spall fan, the thermostat. This is the red input on the classic auto air computer. What we're going to do, I've been really looking at a few things, and as long as the glove box is out, it would be easy to get in there and do the calibration. Oh, let me get my light here. See that bar right there? I think we're just going to mount this sucker just like that. Then I'd be able to get in there and do the calibration key, but also still have it hidden in a spot. You know, and obviously it'd probably be mounted with zip ties, because once those connectors are in there, we don't know just how far this goes yet when we put the box in. I guess that's supposed to be here, so we're gonna obviously have to cut that down. This is not quite as deep as the original, but you can see this is, I think we're gonna get a reasonable amount of room here. But this is where the spall fan goes. This, believe it or not, is, in fact, you can barely see them up there. That's the temperature probe. So, but by having all of these wires over here, and then of course the heater controller and all its stuff over there, that's going to work out pretty nice. Have not decided where the water valve is coming out and where it's going. Currently it's an orange wrapped cable. I'm going to change that over to something a little bit more appropriate for our engine bay. You know, here that thing is. So you can see how long it is. I don't know that it's going to wind up being that long. We haven't decided exactly where that's mounting. But at some point I've got to decide where it's coming through. It may come right through that hole right there. So, and then I imagine the water valve is going to be in this valley somewhere right in here, because you really do want it pretty close. We're going to have to figure out exactly which of the inputs it goes on, which direction it goes, all of that. You know, there's rules in their manuals about that. But making sure that I have access to put that little key in and do the programming, that's pretty important, I think. So that's where we're at right now. Okay, we are at a point where I'm going to be wrapping up because it's time to go fishing here shortly. But here is where I'm at, getting our harnesses kind of integrated. Here's that orange one. But see, we've got both relays mounted back here. So this is the power relay. This is the AC clutch relay. The AC clutch also still has to go to the temperature switch, which is right here. This kind of shows you how I'm planning all that over in there. Should be plenty of slack to get there from here. And then these two, so this is our power split to come in, and this is our AC clutch. That's these two wires here. I've just got to build the other ends of those. And then I know this needs a light. I also need a light for this. I have a connector under there for that. I've also still got to hook up the one going down in here. So I haven't forgotten it. I just haven't done them yet. That's all. Also want to address the wiring up here at some point. That's not going to be today. But yeah, this is starting to really shape up. I'm really happy with how this is coming out. It's going to fit. It's, you know, there isn't a ton of room under there, but, you know, well, I don't know that you can actually see. This window is pretty dirty. So, but she'll be back in there. And, yeah, that's going to work out nice. I really like having the relays mounted to a hard point instead of the aftermarket way where you just screw a tabbed relay and then plug a harness in, which works. It's fine. But, you know, I always try to go that extra mile. I really had hoped to have this built up this weekend, but looks like my Tomahawks are now Tuesday because FedEx has delayed again. And the switches, or the rotary pots, you know, it just says in transit on USPS. They were supposed to be here Thursday, then Friday. Now they're in transit. It doesn't say where they are. They might still be in California. Who knows? So, it is what it is. Shipping's been a big problem. We just heard on the 55 that the seats are now maybe April. We'll see. You know, it is what it is. So, anyway, that's it for now. I'm thinking the next time we start this up, it'll be a hello tomorrow morning with the crew.